Let's continue looking at the Rockefeller family and some of the things these scallywags are up to. This is out of Reuters, posted on Yahoo's front page today. Venezuela's Chavez, did U.S. give Latin American leaders cancer? And he goes on to say, well, he's heard it from people. He doesn't know if it's true, but now that other Latin American leaders who aren't that old, like Cristina Fernandez, are joining the long list of presidents in Latin America diagnosed with cancer who don't play ball, he said it would not be strange if they had developed the technology to induce cancer and nobody knew about it until now. I don't know. I'm just reflecting, he said in a televised speech to troops at a military base. Fidel always told me, Chavez, take care. These people have developed technology. You are very careless. Take care what you eat, what they give you to eat, a little needle, and they inject you with I don't know what, he said. Okay, so this is what I've always talked about. It turns into rumors. The Gulf of Tonkin to get us into Vietnam was not a rumor. The officers on the ships came back, told the San Diego Herald Tribune, we've shown you copies, that the ships weren't attacked, it was staged. It was a conspiracy theory for 40 years when people talked about it, until they declassified in 2004 that indeed our government made up the attacks on our ships to launch the Vietnam War officially. It was never a rumor. So see, he's lazy, like a communist would be. And no doubt, pal, you probably were given cancer. This is part of a strategic program. I have all the documents right here. But you're too lazy when Fidel Castro tells you what's going on because it's declassified there was a U.S. program to try to give him cancer, but they couldn't get it in his food. Okay? So he tells you all this, and then what do? You just say, oh, Fidel told me, but I don't have any proof because you're lazy. And this is the problem with people. They don't go to the original source documents. They just shoot their mouths off. But no doubt, the globalists or this mega banking cartel sucking America dry, they don't like little criminals like Chavez taking control of some of their goodies down there. And so I don't have proof that this is happening to him, but I know it exists. So since I saw this morning, I had the crew do a little bit of research and pull what we had in our archives up for you. First exhibit is this excellent book, Dr. Mary's Monkey by Edward T. Haslam, who I do want to get on, forward by great researcher Jim Marrs. This is put out by Trine Day, a very respectable group with a lot of courage on the vanguard of getting information out. And you can pull up these documents separately online. This is from the Library of Congress, National Archives. Separate documents have leaked similar to this. But this is from Jim Garrison, the DA in New Orleans, separately in his JFK investigation, came across in the files of people he'd raided and things over the years, that Lee Harvey Oswald and others who were CIA were working with the National Archives and being given samples of cultured cancers that they were injecting into rats and hamsters that were killing them. And we'll roll through some of the shots of the bibliography of this book, but melanoma, leukemia, they talk about how if you can inject this into somebody, they're deader than a hammer. They call it the 24-hour cancer. And this is the type of stuff that goes on. So this is all covered in this book by Trine Day. We don't carry the book. I should actually call them up and carry this, as I read this a couple years ago. But we'll definitely get Edward T. Haslam on the show to break this down. But you can see Jim Garrison actually entered these into the court record, and you can see him there in the memo, and then it goes through all of these. Now, it isn't just Latin American leaders who don't play ball that get cancer sprayed in their face virally. And by the way, that's what's admitted in these documents, is what's been known since the 20s. The Rockefellers discovered this through their Kaiser Wilhelm Institute in Germany and other institutions. Estrogen hormones is the genesis of cancer. That's in the bibliography right there. I put a star by it. And what they do is they inject you with, most cancer is viral. They inject you with viruses that are designed to not trigger until your hormone levels go down at around age 60, so they don't have to pay for your retirement through the Social Security system. That's how the big banks steal it. They just, through polio shots and other vaccines, they give you these cancer viruses, and all major vaccines, variants have been found to have these. Even though it's not part of the manufacturing process, they're adding them to it. And that's all done to get rid of you. Now, don't believe me. Give me a document cam shot here. Here's the San Francisco Chronicle, and this is 2001. Rogue viruses, they weren't rogue, in vaccine Early polio vaccine harbored virus now feared to cause cancer in humans. And they estimate over 100 million Americans contracted and died from the 50s to the 70s from cancers in viruses injected into them through the polio shots and oral. And by the way, it came out CBS News 2 years ago. They've been giving kids oral polio again, giving them cancer, and giving them polio. In fact, guys, people won't believe that. Let's just do this right now. And again, I haven't have a studio audience tonight. I'm just thinking of this on my feet because I've done so much research. Guys, Google for folks. Everybody can do this watching at home. Google polio vaccine gave children polio. And you'll get CBS News, ABC News 2 years ago, and then 5 years ago, and then 8 years ago, and 10 years ago. It's always an accident. You know, they said, oh, the Africans run when the UN trucks pull up because they say the vaccines are killing them. They are. They've caught the UN adding sterilants to the vaccines. There it is. WebMD, polio vaccine. And it well, that's in 1955. No. This is polio vaccine with cancer. I'm saying type in polio vaccine caused polio. And I'm talking from 2 years ago. It was in Pakistan and other countries. They caught them all over the world, giving kids live polio and actually killing them with real weaponized polio. There it is. CBS News. Mutant polio virus spreads in Nigeria. AP. Polio, the dreaded paralyzing disease stamped out in the industrialized world, is spreading in Nigeria. And health officials say in some cases it's caused by the vaccine used to fight it. Even when they get caught. See, the problem is I got too much proof. It's like that Gnarls Barkley song. We ought to play that sometime. You know, I'm crazy. I'm crazy. Not because I don't know anything, but because I knew too much. Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Possibly. All right, let's continue here. Here's New York Times. Study is unsure on tainted polio vaccine cancer role. The government's own reports in the 70s say hundreds of millions got it, 100 million contracted cancers, and many of them didn't survive it. Look at that whitewash out of the New York Times. Let's continue here with some of these articles. There's the Times of London. Smallpox vaccine triggered AIDS virus. AIDS epidemic triggered by smallpox vaccine. Times of London. In fact, you can actually document cam and zoom in right here on the actual scan of the Times of London right there for everybody. Oh, yeah, it came out under a Navy study. They shot up gay people in New York with it to then, because they knew they were having hundreds of sexual partners, they would spread it, a great vector. Very cold-blooded. You know, like fleas would be a vector for bubonic plague. Well, they just use promiscuous people as the vector for this. Here's another one. 12 million of Americans received contaminated polio vaccine between 55 and 63. And again, I did this short order today. I couldn't find the one where they said that 100 plus million. This is just some article that only breaks down a little bit of it. 12 million Americans received it. It's much higher than that. Merck admits injecting cancer viruses, SV40 and others, into millions. There's another big report on that. Simian virus 40, which again creates just hundreds of deadly, formerly rare cancers. Cancer's up over 2,000%. The U.S. has the highest rate of breast cancer. So that is some of the news on that front tonight. So there you go, Chavez. Instead of mumbling with Fidel Castro, because I'll say this. Again, I don't want anybody to be killed by this stuff. And I was unsure about Chavez 5, 6, 7 years ago when he was killing the North American, South American free trade deals. And I'm for Venezuela and other countries having sovereignty. But I don't like the seizure of businesses, what you've set up. It's just another form of tyranny. But did the U.S. give you cancer? No. If someone gave you cancer, it's the military-industrial complex New World Order that is trying to dominate all of our countries, but not the U.S. itself. The criminals running our country are not the U.S.